Hi, I'm Ina. A couple of years ago, I watched a movie called Knock on the Door, and the thing that impressed me the most is the most unexpected one, the bookshelves. After watching this movie, a dream emerged in my mind, a bookshelf as high as a wall. I moved from Ukraine a couple of years ago, and I do have some books out there. Another category of books are those from the Soviet collection. If you didn't grow up in a post-Soviet country, you're probably not gonna know what I'm talking about, but there are so many people who have those huge book collections. I've added them to books I store in Kiev, and at some point I'm gonna reunite all books, and hopefully when I get my own house, I'm going to order a custom-made bookshelf, and I'm just gonna place all those books and watch my dream come true. After reading for some time, I just figured, is it worth carrying around books that I am not going to read, or books that didn't give me that much value? It's just a burden, right? I don't have that many books here in Edmonton, but I want to sort through those that I have in order to figure out which ones are worth the hassle of carrying them around and which ones are going to either donate or maybe sell. Let's get to it. Okay. Why we sleep. I am definitely keeping this one. It actually had a very positive impact on my lifestyle because I started to care about my sleeping habits more. One of the tips that I've implemented some time ago was that I stopped using an alarm clock to wake up. I think I started to sleep around 30 minutes longer than usually, but what changed is that I started to dream more often. And if I remembered right from the book, it's a sign of a better quality REM sleep. You know, actually my cat, by the way, this cat, bit it a little bit, so it doesn't look perfect. Nevertheless, Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker is a must-read for everyone who cares about quality of their lifestyle. In the flow. When I was buying this book, I thought it was a must-read for every woman because it's about the woman's cycle. And overall, it definitely gives a new perspective to the womanhood. It also presents so many useful tips on how to improve your cycle via introducing different habits. Thing that was very annoying. This book felt like an advertisement of the method author promotes. I don't see anything bad about promoting your own products, especially in your book. You can do whatever you want. But it felt so aggressive and so frequent. I think it was the author's app. I'm not even sure because every time it was happening, I just tried to not to pay too much attention. It's actually sad because for me, it undermined the book a little bit. Other than that, I personally found all recommendations in this book a bit too much of a hassle. I'm sure it has some positive impact on women's lives. The only thing that I implemented in easy one, it's a seed cycling. The point is that in different parts of your cycle, you can take advantage of different seeds. You don't have to change those every week like many other things that are suggested in this book. I'm not sure how much it affected my health because seeds are overall very good for you. I'm not going to keep this book. This one is in Russian. In English, it's called What I Wish I Knew When I Was 20, a crash course in making your place in the world. This one is great. A lot of information that I've read about not the first time in my life. Well, maybe because I'm not 20 anymore. I wish I had this book when I was 20, I guess. If I have kids at some point, I would recommend that they read this book together with Why We Sleep. This is also one of the things I didn't mention. When I'm deciding whether I want to keep the book or not, I'm asking myself, if I have kids, would I want them to read this book? Obviously, no one's gonna make kids do anything, but I find lots of value in this book, so I keep. Okay, this one is in Ukrainian. It's a compact history of the world by Jeffrey Parker. I've had this book for so many years. I don't know about you, but I used to buy the books and not always get to the point of reading them. I think there's even a term in Japanese that describes this phenomenon. Now I'm trying to discipline myself into actually reading the books I buy, and I never regretted reading this book, especially after full-scale invasion of Ukraine started. It gives you a new perspective on what's going on in the world. I think I will keep it. Okay, this one is in French. Le Défi Végane 21 jours. I used to learn French a little bit. Since we've been in Canada, I wasn't practicing regularly, so I figured I should get a book to read, preferably on a subject that I'm interested in. And there was a period here in Canada when my husband and I decided to try vegetarian diet. It didn't work out for us, at least for now. It was just nice to read it in French and to realize I do understand something in this language, but I think it would be better to donate it. I got it in Value Village, and that is where I'm going to give it back. Oh! It's Harry Potter Hogwarts House Edition Slytherin. I prefer watching to reading, and most of my books are non-fiction, but I'm a big fan of Harry Potter. That is why my husband gave me this for our anniversary. It's non-negotiable. It's a keep, it's a gift. It was such a pleasure to read it. When Harry Potter books were out, I was at school. I remember that not everyone could afford buying those books, so someone in the class would get the book and there was a line of people willing to read the book. Having the whole collection means something for the old me, who could not afford to read all books back then. Invisible Women. This book was a bit controversial for me. On the one hand, it was very eye-opening to some facts about women, but on the other hand, I struggled with some chapters of this book. I didn't know whether I want to keep it or not. Let's just say some of the chapters I would reread because they made so much sense to me, but the others, even though there's so many facts, there is a huge research the author Caroline Criado-Perez conducted. I don't think that just I agree with authors' reasoning all the time. Obviously, I don't have to. I'm not sure what to do with this one because do I want to read it? I think no. Did it have some value for me? Definitely. So I'm gonna think about this one. This one is one of my favorite. Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind. It's very easy to read and it's so informative. This book gives a great overview of what we as people are all about. So I find it really valuable. So keeping it for my collection. Talking to Strangers. I think that sometimes books are concise and informative, and those books I adore. But unfortunately, some books are just too wordy, and I feel like that some cool ideas can be expressed more briefly. Even though I read this book a while ago, I think this is the feeling I had. The main notion is that we as a society exist because by default, we assume that other people are good, so to speak. It's very brief. It may be a little bit different than it is described in the book. I felt like this book was a bit too much, and I definitely don't feel like rereading it. Set Boundaries, Find Peace by Nedra Glover Tawwab. This book is amazing. I also have a workbook. I feel like everyone should read it. Obviously, there are so many self-help books, but this is one of those that is not too wordy, and it contains the zest of what you need to understand what your boundaries are and how to set them. It was very eye-opening. Sometimes this book made me a bit angry, mostly because it just gives you the idea that you are the one responsible for setting and maintaining your boundaries, and no one owes you reading your thoughts. I keep Essentialism. I love the idea of this book is that you should focus on some basic areas in your life and not waste your focus on stuff that you don't actually need. But this is one of those books, could have been shorter. Or maybe, I don't think that everything should be a book. Does it have very important information? Yes. Do I want to dig through all the information I found unnecessary? I think no. Another thing I hate is when authors use big fonts. Probably they want to emphasize, but for me, it feels like they just want to get more pages. It doesn't feel right. Or things like that. I realize this is dividing the book into the chapters, and it kind of makes sense, but just do you need that much space to do so? It's me. I don't like the books like that. That's it. Holly by Stephen King. Detective genre is very special for me. I'm a big fan of detective games, movies, shows, and books. And I feel like finding a good detective is a challenge. So I just decided for myself that I will be adding detectives to my fiction collection just because I adore this genre, okay? Clean by James Hamblin. It's one of those books that could have been an article or a YouTube video. In short, the idea is very simple. People don't need that many body washes, shampoos, soaps. It's all just an industry. We don't need that much. And we don't need to use shower as often as we use. I believe in that. Do I necessarily stick to what the author describes? No, I do not. Was it worth making a book out of it? You know, I'm not the author, I'm just the reader, and I realize that readers may be different, but nope. Oh, The Perfectionist Guide to Losing Control by Catherine Morgan Scheffler. Amazing. I even have some piece of paper with notes I was taking from this book because there is so much amazing information to improve your quality of life, and this is something I might reread in the future. Yes. Atomic Habits. I've been changing my life for more than a decade now, I think. I've been just trying to figure it out myself, and only later on I started to read, to learn. I find this book valuable. It's just that I don't think it gives me any new knowledge, that's the thing. But, you know, I'm gonna keep it because would I want my kids to read this book? Yes. And I feel like for the person who just starts to grasp the idea of what habits are, of their influence on your life, basically your life is your habits, right? Is this book basic? Yes. Does it give valuable information? Totally. The last book I have, it's not actually mine, it's my husband's. His friend gave it to him for his birthday, I think. It's called Cats in the Art, and it contains illustrations to paintings of how cats were depicted in the arts throughout the history. My husband and I have 3 cats, and we adore them, and these amazing creatures in general. It's just nice to have a look at the cats. I am done. Maybe in 10 years or so, who knows when, I might make a video about the bookshelf I have, the one as high as a wall, and my collection that I've accumulated over the years. But so far, this is it. These are the books I'm keeping. A couple of them I have to revise to decide whether I want to keep them or not. These ones I will give away and or sell. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you'd like to. Bye!